I want to show you something about the Barbie movie that goes far beyond what many reviewers have discussed. Ben Shapiro pointed out the film's contradictions and its shallow messaging, but there is a deeper layer, one that touches the spiritual realm and reveals the cultural forces shaping our generation. This is arguably the most widely distributed anti-man film ever aimed at children, especially young girls. A few years ago, a movie like this could not even have been released as a children's film, yet today it's embraced as harmless fun. That alone reveals how fast our culture is changing or falling. The real nature of the film becomes clear when you listen to its own dialogue. Barbie herself says, "Be giving voice to the cognitive dissonance required to be a woman under the patriarchy. You robbed it of its power." What kind of line is that in a children's movie? It's not normal human speech. It sounds like a sentence lifted from a radical feminist textbook or a political manifesto. Words like patriarchy and cognitive dissonance do not appear in simple entertainment, especially entertainment for kids. They appear in propaganda, ideology, and indoctrination. Yet these messages are being aimed directly at your children, especially your daughters. Using a doll, a beloved toy, as the vehicle for that messaging is a powerful method of influence because children are impressionable. Seeds planted now will affect the future of our culture. The film repeatedly uses the word patriarchy as if it were an absolute universal truth, a single cause of all suffering. This is a common theme in radical feminist writings, where patriarchy serves as the villain responsible for everything wrong in the world. And in the movie, the portrayal of men follows that script exactly. At best, they are depicted as useless, inferior, or stupid. At worst, they are dangerous. Later in the film, after Ken experiences the so-called real world, he returns to Barbie Land and takes it over, brainwashing the women into submission. In this film's worldview, even marriage becomes an oppressive structure to be destroyed. Romantic partnership is evil. Complementarity between male and female is rejected. Love between men and women is not only dismissed, but treated as a threat to the sisterhood. Women do not need men, men do not need women, and both sexes can supposedly fulfill every function of the other alone. Imagine a movie made for boys in which women were depicted as inferior, useless, and evil. What would the reaction be? Yet when Hollywood does the same to men, it's accepted and even praised. In the film, the women win by manipulating men who are portrayed as mindless and violent. This caricature resembles the techniques used in propaganda throughout history. Communist propaganda depicted capitalists as villains seeking world domination. Nazi propaganda portrayed Jews as evil schemers ready to take over society. In Barbie, the antagonist is half of the human race, men whose natural relationship with women in real life is supposed to be love, marriage, and family, but the movie deliberately divides the sexes and undermines that unity. It's not a coincidence that a trans-identifying character appears in the film, or that Barbie jokes about gay innuendos. This is part of a larger narrative of separating men from women and confusing the meaning of gender. But the film reveals its deepest message in the first scene, which copies the opening of Stanley Kubrick's 2001 A Space Odyssey. In Kubrick's film, apes represent primitive humanity. In Barbie, little girls playing with baby dolls are placed in that same role. The narrator says that since the beginning of time, teen girls played with dolls, but these dolls were always and forever baby dolls, implying that motherhood is primitive and oppressive. The girls are shown caring for their dolls, yet they appear miserable, as if the natural instinct to nurture is slavery. Then Barbie appears like a towering goddess, replacing the monolith from 2001. One girl slowly approaches her, touches her leg, and backs away, exactly like the ape touching the monolith. Inspired by Barbie's presence, the girls smash their baby dolls against rocks, destroying their symbolic children. One doll's head even flies off. This mirrors the apes in 2001 learning violence, but in Barbie the violence is directed at babies, at motherhood itself. The baby is thrown into the air and transforms into the word Barbie. That single scene contains the entire message: throw away motherhood, destroy nurturing, abandon femininity as it has existed for thousands of years, and embrace a new goddess-like figure. Barbie's origins reinforce this theme. The name Barbie means stranger or foreigner. She came from post-war Germany and was modeled after a doll named Bild Lily, a doll originally sold as a sex object, not a children's toy. Bild Lily was marketed in doll stores and was based on a cartoon character portrayed as a prostitute. When Barbie was created, She adopted the same clothing, the same styling, the same adult sexuality. So the iconic doll marketed to little girls began as a sex toy. This connects to something even older. In ancient Mesopotamia, there was a goddess known as Inanna or Ishtar, the goddess of sexuality, immorality, and prostitution. She was always depicted as a beautiful young woman, independent of men, rejecting marriage and motherhood. Her imagery filled ancient households. Girls revered her as a model. Barbie in modern times has become the most widespread figurine of a young woman ever made. Like Ishtar, Barbie originated from a sexualized object, emphasizes independence from men, and detaches femininity from marriage and motherhood. Ishtar had a boyfriend, Tammuz, who existed mainly as her accessory. Barbie has Ken, a character always secondary, bland, and emasculated. Ancient inscriptions say that Ishtar grinds away the masculinity of men. The Barbie movie does exactly that. The men in the film are portrayed as confused, incompetent, and devoid of purpose. Ishtar dominated and destroyed her lovers. Barbie defeats Ken and all the men in Barbie land. Ishtar rebelled against patriarchal authority. The Barbie movie is obsessed with attacking the patriarchy. When America began turning away from God in the 1960s, the same decade the sexual revolution exploded and marriage weakened, Barbie's popularity surged. The very spirit that ancient cultures associated with sexual chaos, gender confusion, and the breakdown of family seems reflected in the cultural wave that elevated Barbie. In ancient texts, the spirits associated with Ishtar tore husbands from wives and wives from husbands, dissolving the unity of the family. That same theme permeates the movie. Men and women are separated. Each sex is told it does not need the other. Marriage is dismissed. Gender roles are mocked. And same-sex attraction and gender transition are subtly introduced as replacements for traditional relationships. This reflects a cultural spirit that pulls men away from women, women away from men, and children away from their purpose. The opening scene of Barbie shows little girls destroying their baby dolls. Playing with dolls has always been a natural preparation for motherhood, something built into human behavior. So what does it mean when a children's movie asks girls to smash babies? If caring for a doll symbolizes nurturing a child, then the destruction of dolls becomes symbolic destruction of children. Just a decade after Barbie arrived in America, abortion became widely legal, and since then millions of babies have been killed. In ancient cultures, Ishtar was connected to child sacrifice. Those same cultures fell into destruction when they abandoned God and embraced these spirits. The Hebrew scriptures describe the spiritual powers behind pagan gods as Shedim, spirits of destruction. Their goal is to sever people from their purpose, men from manhood, women from womanhood, children from childhood, mothers from motherhood. When purpose is removed, destruction follows. That's why today we see gender confusion, the erasing of motherhood, and the push to transition children. When you capture the children, you capture the culture. And when you erase the natural roles of men and women, the family collapses, and with it, a civilization. The Barbie movie is not harmless fun. Its messages are coated in pink, in music, in humor, but that only makes them more dangerous. No one would hand a child poison unless it was sugar-coated. Parents must protect their children from ideological influence disguised as entertainment. Guard your homes, guard your sons and daughters, guard their minds and hearts. Stay clear of the cultural plague until it passes. The battle we face is not against flesh and blood, but against the spiritual forces that seek to remake society by breaking down the most fundamental bonds God created, the bond between man and woman, parent and child, humanity and purpose.